People who have been in relationships, what the pettiest revenge you have got on an ex. I still have PTSD flashbacks and constant anxiety fears of her showing up at my front doorstep one day. However, I'm at a point in my life where I feel ready to share this story. For context, this happened about 5 years ago. My wife Sarah and I were married for about 2 years, together for a total of 5. Things were declining in our relationship, badly. Well, Sarah had found another partner. For the sake of this story we'll call him Jonathan. Instead of just leaving or starting divorce proceedings, they decided that they needed me to be pinned as the bad guy in the relationship, and it was me who was the person who broke this up, so they could ride off into the sunset together. I have mental health issues, that I was actively seeing a therapist for. I'm not saying she had to stay and deal with my mental health issues, however, it was a pretty rough period of my life. My non-biological mother had just passed away and I had no family members left to call for help. She gaslit, manipulated, and used my mental health against me. A side effect of most of my mental disorders is poor short-term memory. She would regularly say things like that didn't happen, or I was remembering something wrong. Sarah also had Jonathan helping her as well. It was hard to tell what was up from down. They both were telling me I was a horrible person and it was difficult to not believe it as it was already 2 versus 1, but the saddest part of it all was the fact that they also would rope in mutual friends. This caused me to spiral worse than I already was, even though I was already in therapy to try to get better. They put me down constantly, told me I was fat and unattractive, killing what little self-esteem I had left. Then the big kick in my teeth happened. Sarah told me one day that she had fallen out of love with me a week after we got married. Everything hurt so much. Well, like any beaten dog, eventually I snapped and lashed out after a fight with Sarah. It was one of the darkest moments of my life. She declared we were done. She told me she was moving out shortly thereafter. I was at rock bottom. She moved out a month and a half later, and removed herself off the lease at the beginning of the following month. Sarah didn't take everything with her, despite the fact I didn't like seeing her things around the house. I wasn't going to just throw them away. It was her stuff. More importantly, she left behind a $12,000 paperweight of a car she was still making payments on. Thankfully, at the time she got the car, I had seen how horrible the reviews were for that make and model, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I refused to put my name on that vehicle. I ended up being right. It wasn't even a year after she got it. The transmission was destroyed and there it sat in the driveway. For some context, my landlord had a clause in our lease against broken down vehicles just sitting on the property.
But she's also freaking out that Dasher is on the loose. I try to calm her down. She keeps screaming and panicking that Santa can't fly without all his reindeer and is probably missing. Finally, we opened the rest of the presents. We left the Switch game wrapped, and she opened it. Gave it away instantly. Now I'm frustrated that we were so unprepared. This is supposed to be a huge gift. We finish up presents and my mom goes to work. At this point my sister is playing with her stuff, and I'm checking out my new bling. Then I remember that my polish for jewelry was in the trunk of the car. I open up the trunk, and there it is. The Nintendo Switch. Sitting right there. Staring at me. I start crying tears of joy. I don't have to spend another $300 on a console and games. I wrap it instantly and leave it on the front bench. I go upstairs, play the sound of a hoofing horse from my speaker, and make a loud bang. When I sneak back downstairs my sister asks, "What was that?" I tell her, "I don't know, it sounded like it came from outside." "Want me to check?" "Sis. It's Dasher. It has to be. He has it." She runs as fast as I've ever seen her run down the stairs and whips the door open. Finally, she falls upon the gift wrapped up on the bench. She grabs it and runs inside. When she opens it, she cries. Santa really does listen. And then I cried. Again. Because I was so relieved it was over. All in all, she was happy and I was happy. My parents were pissed they left it somewhere so stupid, but in the end Christmas was even more fun for my sister.